everyone. Hi. Please take your seat because our meetup is about to start. It's actually starting right now. Anastasia, can you please close the door? So first of all, I would like to say thank you for joining us today. Despite on the strike, we are all here. There are so many people that I'm glad to see. And welcome to our meetup. So my name is Lena. I'm the team lead of the Tech Internals community. And I will give you just a short presentation for you to understand on who we are. But then, of course, I'll pass it to our beautiful speakers. So first of all, I would like to thank our partners, our beautiful community women in Agile Berlin. Thank you. Also, AIT, high-tech team. This is the school, like a really great online school for the developers and IT people. So please scan their QR codes if you would like to join their social medias as well. I'll give you just a minute. OK, nobody scan it, but you should. OK, so just in numbers about the Tech Internals conferences, Tech Internals communities, we organize events for the developers of highly loaded systems for over 16 years now. And we have provided over 100 events. And we had like over 100,000 participants. And now we decided that our conference that is made from developers for developers should be brought to Europe and to this beautiful IT hub of Europe, which is Berlin, obviously. So this is the key topics we usually cover during our meetups and our conferences. They are all associated with the fields where the developers of highly loaded system work. So it's architecture, software engineering, DevOps, and so on and so on. Really in-depth tech topics. You can see like this on my hoodie. Skip the small talk. Let's get technical. It's all about TIC conferences. This is some top talks of our previous conferences. You can see some huge names over there, including guys from Amazon Web Services, Uber, Grekova, Cloudflare, Dropbox. For the next conference, we will have some guys from Netflix, Amazon Web Services, as well as Red Hat. So the lineup is super great. I think everybody will enjoy it. And this is like a really small insights on the attendees of the conferences. So as you can see, our conferences is made mostly for middle-class specialists, middle-class developers, and of course, some decision makers and some senior plus specialists. Here you can see some environments. So it's always about like the main value of our conferences is top speakers and cutting-edge topics. Community, of course, because this is the aim of ours, to build up the community. And of course, entertainment and after party, because everyone loves to drink beer and chat and so on. But before we start, I would like to ask you to scan this QR code and share your insights. Like this is really quick participant survey that I would like you to look through and to pass it. And the ones that will go for this survey will get some special gifts from Tech Internals community. So I will give you like a couple of minutes to scan it. I'm watching you guys. Scan it. OK. No, no, no. You just look for the survey. You will understand, OK? I promise you. OK, and this is all from my side. Right now, I would like to pass it to our beautiful Anastasia from Women in Agile. So please, Anastasia, go for it.
OK. Hi, everyone. First of all, I want to say thank you for all of you that you come here. My name is Anastasia, and I represent today our non-commercial community, Women in Agile Berlin. You can read here our, how to say, about our community, Women in Agile Berlin, but I want to tell you more. Our community organizes meetups, free meetups here in Berlin. Usually we talk about Agile, Scrum, and we're happy to see people Sorry. I'm nervous a little bit. I'm so sorry. This is my first time that I'm speaking here without any preparation. Thank you. Thank you. So, you can see that women in Agile Berlin, but we are really glad to see not only women on our meetups. So if you want to know more about Agile Scrum, you can visit us and we will share our knowledge with you. And some slides about our team. It's me, you can see. Yeah, I think that... My name is Anastasia, and I work as a Scrum Master and Project Manager over the 6 years. I have a little son, and I'm studying German. I hope that, not hope, I think that most of you learn German also. Could you please raise your hands up? Yeah. Yeah, 90%. Okay. So, Angelike, our senior Agile coach on our team also, but today she's not here. Maike here. She helps us to organize this meetup also. Guzel, she is responsible for our online meetups. And Martina, she's also here and helps us to create this event. And you can scan this QR. Sorry, it is thought for today. Please go and visit our meetups. That's all. Lena, this is for you.
Hi, everyone. So thanks a lot for everyone's time today and for your interest in the topics and in this meetup. So my name is Lena, as it's been already introduced, and I'm going to cover the first part of this content today. So my part is called Cracking the Hiring Process, and I will give you some insights into how to prepare for your recruitment process, for your application, how to prepare your CV, what are which strategies to use during the application process, as well as how to prepare for initial steps of the interview process from the HR and people and culture perspective, because I myself talent advisor here in Germany, and as you see from the name and also probably from my accent, I'm not originally here from Berlin or from Germany, so I also had to move to this country some time ago. And also, as a foreigner, I also had to experience the challenges of finding a job in a foreign country with a different language, with a different hiring culture. And this is why I'm here to tell you insights that I tested myself and would like to share with you for your consideration. And hopefully, it will also help you to succeed in your job search. So that's a short introduction about myself here, just a brief summary, and I will also have a link to my LinkedIn profile in the end of the presentation. So you have to watch the whole presentation here to connect with me. And then let's go further. And this is about the why this topic here at all and general. And of course, as I mentioned already, it's quite difficult to get navigated and get your head around different companies, different hiring culture in a foreign country, here in Germany, also in Europe, if you're looking for a job across multiple locations. And it's also, it could be challenging to prepare for the interview properly from a candidate perspective. But this is also sometimes unclear or challenging to prepare from an interviewer perspective when you have to interview and select a proper talent, a proper candidate for your position, for your team, when you have only one headcount or one FTE to fill in your team. So we will talk about this during this presentation here. And we move to the next slide. So here I would like to introduce you to the agenda of my presentation and the topics for today. So we can split it into 4 big sections. So first we will talk about the structure of the CV, the essential sections, and red flags and what to look out for. Then there will be a section about the application strategies, so how to apply for position and whether to do that via recruiter or a company website. And I will also tell you the difference between those two in this section. Then there will be red flags in the CV. Again, this will be a section for both candidate perspective and also hiring perspective or hiring manager, as we call it in HR. And the final section of the presentation will be about how to prepare for the interview, so how to answer difficult questions during the interview, how to prepare for those, and how to react if you were asked a difficult question off the cuff during the interview and you don't know what to do. So those are the topics for today, and let's go to the first topic, and we'll start with the question of what is the purpose of a CV. So here we have a word cloud, which I gathered based on my own thoughts and also some Googling and support of ChatGPT, of course. So from my perspective, I decided to put those words here. So the idea behind it is that the CV is actually a mean of communication or a tool for both a candidate and a hiring manager or a company to send or to receive the information. So if we consider CV being this aspect, so this is both, on the one hand, it's a opportunity to exchange this information, and it's a branding opportunity. So you're selling yourself to an employer. So it needs to really show, to be clear and concise, what are your skills, what are your achievements, and why you fit for this position. And at the same time, from the flip side, this is a source of information for employer or hiring team, whoever will be looking into that, or a recruiter, because recruiters also read CVs quite often. Yes, we do. And this is also an opportunity to get this information to actually make a decision whether to advance this profile, this CV further, or to pass and to send a rejection from a no-reply email, as it's also very common in the industry nowadays, unfortunately. So here we see the following words, and so it's achievements. This is something that should be stated in your CV. We will go into sections in more details. I just want to flag here that something when you start to draft your CV, if you have to draft it from scratch, or if, for example, it's the first time when you're looking for a job, then consider having those words in your mind, in your head when you start to draft, and to make sure that this content is in there. So achievements, marketing. So this is again to brand and to sell yourself to employer. So CV is a tool essentially because this is your tool to get a job, which is your goal, to receive a job offer or to get an interview for a specific company. I know that it's also quite common technique sometimes in the industry, especially if we talk about tech, when people like to do regular interview to keep fit and to also know about what is going on in the market. So to succeed in those and use this interview technique not only for your training but also for interesting career opportunities. This is also possible. So CV is your tool in achieving these. And of course, we have here interview, skills, job offer, and we also have here summary. So summary is essentially what CV is. So CV is a summary of someone's skills, experiences, and competences that they bring already, and that's what makes them stand out for the position they applied to. So that's about the purpose of a CV. And then let's talk about the sections of a CV. So here you see I've listed the sections that I would recommend you to have in your CV, regardless of your career or professional goal in this asset, because we will talk about how those sections may change, or the order of those sections in the CV may change depending on your current career situation, because of course it will be different for a person who just started their job search, who just graduated from a university and just started looking for a position, and of course you want to put your education at the top, so the education section will be at the top of the list, whereas when you're already an experienced professional and you're looking for advancement in your career, the order of the sections will be quite different. So you might want to put your professional experience or maybe even achievements at the top of the page of your CV, and the education and other aspects will go below that. So let's talk about the essential sections of the CV. Of course, first place is contact information. So contact information, it's absolutely essential to have, because there is no way to reach you if you haven't left your contact there. So it could be an email. It's also possible to list your mobile phone if, of course, you expect to use your phone for communication with the company. So if you don't expect the phone to be used, then of course you can have only email in here. Then, of course, professional summary. This is a very important section because I think there is an issue with the microphone, right? Yes. Sorry for that. Like this? Okay. Is it better now? Okay. No. Not really. Okay. So backwards. Is it better now? No. I think it's better. Okay. Okay, so you already see how subjective it is. For some people it's good, for some people it's not. So same for the interview process. So is it better right now? Okay, perfect. Then let's hope I have enough muscle to hold it till the end of the presentation. Okay, so contact information, we've covered that. And then professional summary is a second important section in the process. And why this is important? Again, this is the first selling point for you to present yourself for the company. So summary, it's really a short text about someone's professional experience. So what describes you as a professional, and you can list there. It could be specific industries, it could be specific experience, specific projects or technologies you've been working in. It could be programming languages, it could be experience in international companies, if applicable, for example, if you think it's more relevant for the position you're applying for. But please keep it short and sweet, so maximum 4 to 5 sentences at the very maximum. So this is really a short section, and when you draft this, imagine that the person who will be looking into this section has no clue about your profile, about this position, about anything at all. So you only have these 5 sentences maximum to impress someone to get advanced to the second step of the process, or whichever step it is. So really use this space and those words and how you select those to make it as much meaningful as possible to describe and showcase your professional experience. That's professional summary. Then we have key skills. So again, this is where you summarize the key skills you have. So this is more extended section than the professional summary. In the professional summary, you really emphasize the few aspects, just a few sentences. And in the skills, it really should be like the top skills, the most skills you have experience with, your top skills. Again, I would recommend to keep it between 5 to 6 as a top skill, and then you can add additional either in the professional experience, if there is a specific technology you worked with in company 1 but haven't worked in company 2. So then this should be related to experience, not the top skills. And this section, the key skills, it's really important, and this is something that you should adjust when you apply for different positions, especially if you apply to positions with a different tech stack, if we speak about engineering positions, or if you apply for other roles where there is a difference between the skills
and competences, because in some companies there are application tracking systems which equipped with the AI tools to pre-screen the CV, meaning that based on the AI screening, your CV might not even get to the human being that will watch it. So be careful with that, and always tailor. Like, don't apply blindly for all of the position you find, but take some time to at least review that you have at least from 60 to 80% match of the skills and responsibilities and achievements that you've listed in your CV to the job description you're applying to. So don't skip this step. This is really important because this will help you to save a lot of time in the application process, and also a lot of nerves, honestly, because applying for jobs is very challenging and hard, and it's even harder to get rejected after you've put this effort into the application. So make sure you tailor the key skills to match the position you apply for. And there are multiple ways how to do that. And of course, there are technologies to do that. I'll talk about it a little bit later here as well. So then we have work experience. So this is a very classical section. I think logically everyone would put it there. And here there are also multiple ways on how to arrange it. So for work experience, if you decide to put the dates of employment, for example, in there, please be consistent throughout your whole story, throughout your whole CV, meaning that if you selected a format where you state month and a year, so make sure you state the same format for all of the employments and for all of the other sections where you have dates, so the format is consistent, and do not put any don't use different formats across the CV. Again, it could affect your application success if it's screened through application tracking system, and if it's viewed by a real person, it also might be challenging to acknowledge that there are different data formats for those. So this is for work experience, and for work experience section as well, depending on the type of the CV you'd like to use. We will talk about types of the CV on the next slide, but depending on the type of the CV, you might also consider using different techniques. So for example, you can list the company name, your job title, and then responsibilities. And at the same time, another option would be to either add in this section already your achievements. So for example, if it's your past experience and there was a successful project that you ran and closed recently, you can specify it in there already as an achievement. And sometimes if, for example, you already have quite a lot of experience, so it's more than 5 to 6 different jobs. What you can do is also, instead of listing responsibilities for each of those roles, which could be boring and it makes CV really lengthy. So what you can do, you can specify your job title, company name, the duration of your employment, and instead of the responsibilities, you can just add your achievements, especially if it's like a significant amount of time you spent in the company. You can just list like what you've managed to achieve, or what kind of projects you've been working with during this time to showcase again your experience and its relevance to the position you applied for. And then, of course, last but not least, as I always say, it's education and certificates. So this is a place for university degrees, certificates, professional licenses, anything else. And again, as I said, so those sections here, they are listed in this order, but this doesn't mean that it has to go in this format in every CV, because everyone's career path is very different. And for example, if someone recently got a certification in Agile or in the project management or data protection, whatever it could be, and it's relevant for your application, you can really put it on the top. You can create a separate section and call it like certificates or licenses. Or if you are part of a specific, like a club or volunteering organization, which is also relevant for your organization, for your application, if you're applying, for example, for a different industry. This is also something that you can highlight in your CV. So don't stick to a very common structure if it doesn't fit your own profile and if it doesn't fit your goals. So keep it flexible and always think like what you want, what kind of positions you applying for, and what of your experience and career path in general is the most the most relevant for this role. That's about the sections of the CV. And now, as I promised, we go to the types and examples of different CVs. Essentially, there are two major CV types. So the first one is a very common one. It's a chronological CV. So this is where we order all of the information in chronological order, like university, work experience, and all of this stuff. Can I see who have ever used this type of CV in your job search? Just raise your hand. Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, everyone. I can also raise my hand all the time. Okay, cool. Let's talk about this one. So here we have the key summary of those chronological CVs and what it includes, its possible process and disadvantages. So I think one of the main one would be at the bottom, which is the structure of the chronological CV, that it's actually easy to be compiled and screened by application tracking system. So ideally, if it's possible for your career path and your profile, use this type of the CV, again, as a recommendation. That's what I would recommend. Again, from my personal perspective, because I'm reviewing lots of CV, not every day, but considerable amounts of time. And for me, this structure is very familiar, and it's easy for me to navigate when I receive a CV. So it's easier for me to look for what I need to for work experience, education, and etc. So for me, personally, and I know that it's the opinion of many of my colleagues here in Germany, is that the ideal structure would be the resume from the LinkedIn Skill Builder, just because it's to have it all in the same format, and then it's easier to look for the things that I need to see in there. Of course, this CV, this CV type, it comes with a few disadvantages. So first of all, it's very easy to spot the gaps in employment in this type of the CV, especially if it's like a significant gap of a couple of years or maybe a half year. So this is really easy to see there for everyone who will review this CV. So how you can work around that? One possible option, for example, imagine if you just moved to Germany or to Berlin even, and you still have a lot of things to do apart from looking for a job. So it could be integration to the new country, dealing with the paperwork, learning the language, or any kind of personal circumstances. And what is a good thing here to do is that you can specify and refer to this employment gap, if you prefer to use this structure, by explicitly saying this, like, I actually moved to another country, that's why I haven't worked for this time, because I've been dealing with the relocation, with the visa issues, learning the language, and all kind of circumstances. So this already helps from your side, so you explicitly and you are transparent about what is happening. You're not hiding anything from the employer. So this is one way to overcome it. And another disadvantage of this approach is also that it's not always highlights the skills or specific competences of a person in this format of a CV, especially if we talk about a change of the career, or if we talk about graduate or postgraduate recruitment, when people are very early in their careers and they don't have yet any professional experience, but already for a junior position it's required like 5 years or even more. So for this, there is another type of a CV. Here is an example of a chronological CV, as you see. So it's not the most picturesque one in a way that it's only 3 employment in here, but normally it will be like a very structured. So you see, it's like there are no employment gap there, or very, very clear and concise, like the date, the work experience. So it seems like a person is really focused on their career, or maybe focused on those numbers behind this. We don't know, but this is an example of the chronological CV, but I know that pretty much everyone used it, myself included. So that's on the chronological CV. And then we talk about the second type of a CV, and this one, in my opinion, highlights the skills and competences slightly better. And this is functional or skill-based CV. Now I also want to measure the temperature in the room and ask anyone, have anyone used this type of a CV or maybe heard of it? Please raise your hands. Oh, okay, yeah, cool. We have a few people. So basically, functional CV or skill-based CV, this is an alternative take on the experience, and this is especially useful if, for example, you change career. When you change your career, when you want to move to a slightly different industry, or for example, when you've been working in one industry or in one type of job families, and now you worked somewhere in between two different spheres, and now you realize that the one that you had exposure into a little bit is way more interesting or more paid or any other reasons, you name it, and you want to move to that industry. So the functional CV can help you with that, because this type of CV, it really focuses on the skills instead of the chronological order of the employments. So this is about this, and of course the disadvantage, and this one is really important, is that the structure is less familiar to recruiters and hiring teams, meaning that if you really design your CV very sophisticatedly, it might not pass the application tracking system. And I'll show you an example of such a CV. So you can see here that it's not focused on the chronological aspect, and the work history, it's shown at the very bottom of the page and very, very briefly. So it's really focused on the skills and experience and achievements that person obtained in order to apply for a specific role. So perhaps I would assume that they change industry or change job family to work for a different position. So that's on the CV. So now, so there might be a terminological difference. Anyone else used this type of CV, functional, apart from the? Okay, cool. So then learned something new today, and myself included. And then we go to the next next summary here. So basically, what can we say from all of this, what I've just said? So to sum it up, use any of the format that aligns and fits your needs and fits your current goal. In most cases, I would say it would still be chronological CV type. Again, we discussed why. However, if you think that your case or your experience is more suitable for a functional CV, you can still give it a shot, you can try, and again, you can try and realize, well, actually it doesn't make any difference, so you can get back to chronological CV, or vice versa. If you, for example, don't receive a lot of responses to your resume, you might try those techniques and see what works best for you to experiment a little bit. And now we go to section 2, which is about applications via recruiter or company websites. And here I would like to, we had this question before while I was preparing the slides for this meetup, and I decided to include this in this presentation. And here I would like to start with the difference of the terminology between those two parts, because it might not be clear. And in my presentation, I will talk about those terms. So recruiter could be, in this part of the section, it's an external party. So it could be recruitment agency. It could be a freelance recruiter who works for different companies and for multiple projects. So this is what I mean in this section of the presentation. And direct application, meaning the application that you make directly to a company website, company LinkedIn profile, or any other job board, but where the application is made directly to a specific company. So you don't have any third-party provider, any consultant, anyone who informed you about the position, but a direct application. So of course, both approach is fine, and again, it has its own advantages and disadvantages. So here I've summarized the key one. So for recruiters and making application through agencies or consultants, I would recommend to do so for in cases when, for example, you're looking for a job in a very niche industry where the chances are high that recruiters or agencies, they might have their connection and they might know better which opportunities are available on the market. This is one possibility, and another one could be sometimes that recruiters or agencies, they also partner with the companies who don't have internal HR or recruitment team, so they don't have resources to recruit themselves, and that's why they use the third-party providers. So this is also a point to consider such opportunities. And here, with this section, I think it's important to remember that a consultant, it's always a person who gets paid for their job, and that's why that's also in their interest to focus on the party they work for. So this means that sometimes they might prioritize the interest of their clients and who pays them directly instead of the candidate. So we're talking about a case where there is a recruiter who works with the specific companies instead of candidates and helping you with the job search. So there are also practices like this, but I'm not going to talk about this in this presentation. So this is about applying through recruiters, consulting, recruitment agency, whatever, through a third party, let's call it. And then, of course, direct application is you have a direct contact to a company. So again, it could be challenging sometimes to reach the company, but still at least you have a direct connection. You know the people, you can find them on LinkedIn if needed and contact and approach. You have better control over the recruitment process in a way that in some processes, the application tracking systems, they even have like a web page where you have to create an account, and there you will also be able to track the status of your application. And there are also a few other possibilities like scheduling interviews, requesting feedback, and sending the communication to the recruiter if needs be. So this is a benefit of this. And of course, when we talk about direct applications for companies who don't have the third-party provider, the competition will be higher because more and more people, they are interested in applying directly, not everyone applying through recruiters, and that's why it also could be a disadvantage to higher competency for the position. And again, the recommendation here is to experiment, to try both options if possible. If you get requests or invitations from recruiting agencies or consultants, take a look. Maybe you will find something relevant and interesting for you, so give it a try and consider those, especially if you work in a very niche industry. Sometimes it could be like a finance or some consulting companies and some IT companies as well, like tech organizations. Sometimes it's also, they do not hire themselves openly, but rather hand it into third-party provider, or it also can be called outsource company. So then we go further, and we'll talk about red flags in a CV. So here from both perspectives, so from perspective of a candidate and also from perspective of a hiring team. So here I have a list of red flags for a CV, which I would recommend you to pay attention when you draft your CV. So there are a couple of obvious ones, of course, and I know that it's been said many times, and still I would like to include it in here. So of course it will be any kind of typos and spelling and grammar mistakes. It's really important because, as I said, sometimes recruiters read only these few sentences from your summary, and if it's already with the mistakes, it's a bad impression. So please pay attention to this. Again, you can do this with the text editors. There are lots of them available also for English and for other languages if you would like your CV to be in German or in French or in any other languages. So there is possibility for that. Then, of course, unexplained employment gaps. So we've talked about this, and the recommendation would be to include an explanation where possible, where applicable. Then generic statements without evidence and buzzwords. Yeah, so when you put something in your CV, of course, in the skills section, if you have this skill, if you want to highlight, please put it, please include. But other than that, make sure that it really fits the context of your presentation and your CV, and that it fits that it's relevant for the job. So that's important. And ideally, when you put certain words, ideally to provide an evidence, and ideally it should be measurable. So it could be like a 15% increase in sales, or whatever fits the point you'd like to emphasize. Then we have inconsistent or missing dates. So that's really that's my favorite one. So I already talked about it. So just make sure you select a format for the dates in your CV and you stick to that. So if it's a month and a year, then you just stick to this through the whole process. Then another one will be lack of quantifiable achievements. So this is again something that I mentioned. So please make sure to include measurable example, measurable achievement. It could be a percentage, it could be a result, it could be like achieved a company goal of launching this new market with a specific metrics or whatever relevant for your position. Then a few other more stilistics aspects to consider. So this will be poor formatting or unprofessional style. So again, this is when the colors used that are too bright in the CV, or there are lots of different colors and it's really hard to read, or just the design is not super intuitive. So to overcome this, you can actually use a lot of editors available online, and many of them are free or they have a free trial. So please make sure you use those, and you will be actually quite surprised and happy to see that they have a huge variety of various templates and with the different colors, different fonts and different structures. So make sure that you make use of those. Then another point is overly long resumes. So I would recommend, again, maximum 3 pages. And again, the length of your CV, it should really go hand in hand with the length of your experience, and especially the length of experience relevant for the job. And sometimes if you had involved in any recruitment for more like a senior position, you probably noticed that a lot of people in the C-level or 1 tier below, they have quite short resume, so they manage to place all of their experience on 1 page. So again, this is for very experienced specialists. So if you have, let's say, more than 10 years of experience, so your CV should be either maximum of 3 pages and minimum of 1. So it's even possible to really narrow it down and either leave the relevant experience, the recent one, or the past experience, but listed really briefly with the key achievements. So this is about the length. And for the early in career specialists or recent graduates or people who switch industries, I would also recommend to keep it short. So ideally 1 or 1.5, so 1.5 of the page. So this would be ideal. I think I have a question. Yeah. Yes, I think why not?
Yep.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. So when I, for example, have a lot of experience and more than 10 years, then of course I will probably extend the 3 pages. So can I make just like an excerpt for 2 pages and then to tell in my CV, actually you can find under this link more relevant information, because I would consider only relevant one, or it's not a good idea?
Interesting point. I think it could work. In this case, I would advise you then to, like in your CV, in the file that you submit to recruiter or to a system, then you really focus on the expertise that is relevant for the role you're applying for. But then you can, of course, flag and mention that you have more experience and here are more details. So this is something that you can do, and there are multiple ways how you can do that. So I know that sometimes it's not very common, but some approach I saw, and I found it very, very interesting, and I actually quite liked it. It was when a person prepared a really brief and concise CV with the summary of the skills and experience relevant for the role, but then additionally they attached a slide deck with also their experience. It was not like a table with the chronological data, but it was like a presentation with the summary of their achievements and their previous work. So this is an option. Your suggestion is also, it's fine to have additional material, but I would still recommend you to try to focus on the most relevant parts and skills for the role you apply for, or if you share it directly with the stakeholder on LinkedIn, for example, and make it really clear, concise, and structured. And then any extra information you can, or you can also say more information is available on my LinkedIn profile, or whenever, or in additional files. So whenever suits you. This is a good tactic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But you mentioned a second topic, which is system. There could be a system which will take my CV and will not find the suitable keywords, because I would consider them not to be that relevant, but they could be, and then they will not insert my CV in the next round.
Yeah, exactly. So this is why it's super important to, in the CV, in the document that you submit, that you send as your resume, that you really include there the skills that are relevant for the role. So that means that if you have a CV, before applying, you need to check if it's relevant, if the skills and your experience that is mentioned there, it's relevant, or whether you need to tailor or adjust this. So, and then any additional experience, it should go extra. So this is how to overcome the ATS issue. So to include it in there.
It makes it more interesting. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Right. So we'll go further. So we talked about long resumes or CVs. In this context is also same, at least I use it in the same context. And then irrelevant or sensitive information like a personal photo, age, marital status, hobbies, sometimes could be considered as a personal thing, religious beliefs, and any kind of a personal information that is not related for a job. Again, this is not a lot of points here. We can all agree that marital status doesn't really affect how good a person is in writing a code or interviewing people or cooking in a restaurant. It's not affecting those. So for hobbies, I know that that's a bit controversial. So here, that I don't have a strong opinion, but I listed here, and I would like to flag that this information, ideally not to include this, because even unconsciously, people might make their assumptions based on this information, which is nice and cool and actually great, but it might play against you in the recruitment process. That's one point. And the other one, which is actually, I consider more important, is that all of this information listed, it eats space of the CV. And this space could be used to insert skills, professional summary or achievements, which can actually be screened by ATS. And you're missing an opportunity to showcase your profile a little bit more. Again, so here, by personal photo, I also want to clarify, by personal photo, I mean photo from a personal environment not related to a work context. So of course, if we talk about a professional photo that you've made for your CV, you're welcome to include it in there, even though it's not in Germany and in Europe, it's not obligatory to use photo at all, so you can submit your CV without a photo. If you'd like to include one, so make sure it's in professional environment and it suits the position level you're applying for and the company. If it's a corporate company, they sometimes might expect to have it in a more formalized way, like to have a suit or a smart casual outfit, even on the photo and also during the interview process. But this is something to consider when you apply. This is on this part. I know that this list is a bit controversial. Any questions on that? Okay. Right, so there will be time for questions after the presentation. So if you have any other questions, we can go there later. And here we kind of spoken about this already. So this is what I would recommend you to do instead of those mistakes on the previous slide. So here I recommend you some tools. Again, the tools that I recommend you, it's not advertisement. So I'm not get paid for promoting those tools. This is just tools that I used or my colleagues used in their experience, and I found them good and suitable to my needs. So you can also try those yourself, and also decide or find other tools that better suits your needs or your pocket, because some of them are also paid, I think. So, but this is just helpful tools that you can use to avoid grammar and punctuational mistakes, to improve the template and the design, and also to make sure to go through the check of the CV that it meets the ATS requirements, because there are also tools which support with that. For example, JobScan or many other tools that you can use to check against the ATS requirements. Yeah, so this is the so here the section. So what to pay attention to when you reviewing a CV. And here are a few things to observe, of course. So here it's important to stay reasonable. And again, in some CVs, it might contain personal information, and ideally do not assess these, or at least be aware that there is a personal information, so your assessment might be biased. Ideally, there are tools to enable anonymous review. So this is also an option to choose. If, for example, you have a choice to recommend it for your team, for the hiring team, to make it anonymized, so you don't see even the name of a person, because this could lead to prejudgments about nationality or the country of origin for the person. So ideally to avoid this, and be reasonable, and really try to give a chance and try to find out, because from one point you really want to advance to the next step only talented people. At the same time, you don't want to miss on the talent because of the of some inaccuracies in the CV. And again, don't judge too harsh if there are one or two grammar mistakes or so, because we talked about that it's important. At the same time, this is not always defines the person, and if it's one mistake, it could be just like overlooked by a person who provided this CV, so we're all people. But if it persists, if it's like 4 times and in the same word or something like that, be mindful. Okay, so this is what I wanted to say about the CVs and red flags for team leads. And then there are a few more. There are a few more points regarding the preparation for the interview. I think we're running a little bit out of time, so I will be very quick with this one. So for the candidates and how to prepare for tricky question. So let's very quickly go through those slides. Let's pause here just for a second. So what I want to recommend you, I always compare it with the recipe of a chocolate cake, or basically any kind of recipe. So what is the ingredients? So what makes a person fit for the specific position, and the how. So how exactly it happens, because the same ingredient added in a different dish or in a different order, temperature, it can create different culinary experiments, a very different taste and different flavors. Same with the competences when it's applied for different positions and the different jobs. So when you asked a tricky question during your interview, try to respond in this technique. So it's called STAR, S-T-A-R, and it stands for situation, task, action, and result. So this is how you should respond when you ask the tricky question, like provide a feedback about a difficult situation or a conflict situation or whatsoever. Try to use this structure and ideally try to prepare for such most common questions in this way. So you're using this technology and model, sorry. So there is an example and another one here. So this is Parla. So it's a similar, but with additional learning. So that's basically the problem that you had, the action you've taken, the result, and learnings, and how you applied those learnings in the future. So use one of those techniques to answer those tricky questions, and then the same for the interviewers. When you try to assess candidate during an interview, try to follow the structure. So when someone answers your question, try to ask yourself and check if all of those words, if all of those aspects are covered in the response. So then you can have an accurate understanding of the situation, and you can really assess the skills of the person and what actionable impact they've made in this specific situation. So that's a very brief overview of the last section. I'm sorry we're running a little bit out of time. So do we still have a time for question?
Yes, I think we have like 5 minutes.
Okay.
Maximum, but I can tell you that during the break, you can just approach Lena, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
If you have any further question,
yes,
we can cover them during the break. And here is a code for my LinkedIn if you're interested to connect for further questions. And I'm handing over to Leonella, right?
Yep, that's right.
Thank you for the presentation. One thing I have a question is I saw on your to-dos or things to do,
Yeah.
you did not include using, say, ChatGPT or Claude. Do you have any tips or any advice why not to? And if you do, what you should look out for?
Sorry, did I understand your question correctly? So you mean not include ChatGPT generated feedback into your CV?
Yeah, I mean, I use it as a tool, so I'll go through my tasks, say for one bullet line, I'll see how concise it is, and I'll copy that, paste it into ChatGPT, and see if it can give me some more iterations of it, maybe something that will be more impactful, more concise. But I know what I'm looking for, and I know if it's hallucinating something I didn't do. But what advice would you have around using the LLMs to help you with your resume?
Yeah, so I would say that I'm quite supportive of this because these tools really simplifies everyone's life, myself as a recruiter as well. So in this regard, what I would recommend, if you would like to use ChatGPT, for example, or any other similar LLM like this, so what I would recommend is that when you get a response from a ChatGPT, when you get a proposal like what to put, try to review that yourself and think how it sounds. I assume you're already doing this as you mentioned, but just try to adjust it to your natural style. Because I honestly, when I use it to write, mainly to write in emails to my colleagues and externally, and sometimes it writes a masterpiece, really excellent email that I would read for the rest of my life. But it's still not me, because it's I would never written or phrase things like this. So I think it's also important. And of course, everyone who I send this email to, they will also know that it's not Lena at all. It's someone else wrote this email, presumably ChatGPT. So I would recommend to still digest it and review whether it resonates with what you want to say and how you would phrase this. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. We'll give it to the lady. I'm sorry.
I will try to be quick then. So you said that more and more companies are using some application to pre-screen the CVs, and I remember the times when I was told that the CV, it's not a bad thing to have a creative one, to have something that will surprise people. So would you say that now we should rather move to having a plain CV, is very easy to read, and is it a way to go to be successful during the recruitment process?
This is a very good question. I don't have an answer to that one. I think it's a very controversial and hard to answer at the moment. It depends on, of course, I would say that the balance is needed because, of course, remember that first step would be the pre-screening for the application tracking system, but then after your CV will still be read by real people who will be interviewing you. So still, you can include something, but just make sure that you do not sacrifice the space of your CV for this, like a fun fact or something that you'd like to share, instead of sharing the things that will help you to go to overcome the ATS filter. And not many companies do that at the moment still, so it's also possible to check, depending on the ATS system that is used, you can also see if they have this feature or not. So.
Can I add something to this?
Yes,
Thank you.
Sure.
My name is Michael, and I can tell you if a computer cannot read your CV, so if you have information as images, for example, you will fail because most big companies use ATS or some kind of AI. So what you can do is simply upload your PDF, for example, to ChatGPT or any other tool. And if they cannot read it, then you will fail at every company.
Yeah. Really great insights. Thanks a lot for this. The format of a CV is really important, and also like do not use a PDF or Word. I think sometimes it's less common to use, but I think it's still possible to do so. And also if you use a template from internet to draft a CV like AI tool, and you don't want to pay for this and you just want to download, don't make a screenshot and then upload it everywhere, because again this will be this similar kind of problem. So that's a very, very important insight. Thank you for that.
Maybe I can also ask one more question?
Sure.
So most companies now use AI, like LLMs, whatever, right? To pre-screen and sort out candidates that don't match, basically. What's your take? Is it unethical to make, for example, prompt injection into the CV? To tell, like, you can make it unreadable so that the AI would read it, but the human cannot see the text? What's your take on that? I mean, companies using AI to filter us out, so why not fight back, right?
Yeah, that's a very, I think it's also like quite a philosophical question. I don't have an answer. I would say that I think this is something that you can try to. Again, it depends on your goal. You might consider those. I personally wouldn't do that myself if I were to apply for a position, just because that's my choice of how doing things. But I personally I wouldn't say it's either bad or good and excellent that we should all do that right now. So if it works, then it's fine, I think. But it's a very big question at the moment, yeah.
Now having the last question, and the rest of the questions you can ask Lena during the networking part. So please, raise your hand. Okay, I can see you.
Does it work? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you. My name is Fedor, and thank you for your talk. And you notice that it's very important to have measurable achievements in the CV. And for me, it's always a problem how actually to get them, because I personally have more than 10 years experience. I did a lot, but all I achieved from my perspective is just everyday work. I can't say that I wrote the whole system by myself, because usually I work with a team. And even when I was a team leader, I also tried to set up all processes together with the team. So I always think that it's not my achievement, but the team achievement. So how we can get this?
Yeah, good question. So I think you need to reflect a little bit more on that, because based on what I hear, it looks like you've hired a team, at least, right, to be able to deal with the tasks. So you managed to keep them motivated and engaged. You probably kept the retention in your team quite low. If it's not, just don't mention it. And then another point is also you optimize processes so that it all runs smoothly and there are no emergencies or things like this. That's just based on what I hear from your summary. So this is it's again, I think it's a self-reflection thing, and this is also, you can either reflect and think about it yourself, like really define the key competences that required for your role that you're applying for, and try to think about those achievements from your past experience. Or you can also ask a colleague or your direct report, or you can also use the outcomes of the performance review, where sometimes people also formulate their goals and achievements. So this could also work in support for formulating those achievements.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So much, Lena, for this insightful talk. I can see that people are super interested in all of this. You got like plenty of questions. Thanks again. Let's cheer for Lena. Clap, clap, clap.
Thanks, everyone.
Can I please ask like the next slide? Yes, we have a break, but not now. The other one, please, with the survey. Guys, I'm watching out, right? I have my colleague who's in touch with me, and I'm really asking you to go, to scan the code, and to go through the survey. Bitte. No, it's of course it's up to you, but I will ask. No, this still the same. But I can see that only like 11 people went for it, so it will take you only 2 minutes, so I would highly appreciate if you go for this one. Maybe. You can just leave general Gmail, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, now we can have a break, so please grab the food, grab the drinks, and enjoy the networking part. In 10 minutes, we will be back to listen to Grigori's talk. Thank you. Just a moment, Grigory, I will check if there is anyone outside in the street, maybe. I think we should wait for 1 more minute. I will announce again that we are starting the second talk, and yes. Please come. Excuse me. The second talk, please. If you would like to join us, please join. I think, Grigory, almost everyone joined us. Okay, and yes, please start your talk.
It's nice to hear. Thank you for joining us and this talk. I will start with a short explanation why do we have this second talk here about technical screening and all the technical interviews. First of all, they have asked me to perform this talk. They are to blame for my severe Siberian accent that you will bear with for the upcoming 30 minutes. On the more serious note, I am a software developer. I write code from later 19, C++, Python, JavaScript, Ruby, Go, Lua, many different languages, and I work with the Outstaff company. We hire people, teach them, and contract them out to our clients. So I have seen lots and lots of technical interviews from our side and from our clients' sides. Technical interviews, they are different, and actually no one knows the correct, proper, fundamental way to interview the software developer. If we take 1 million interviews, they will share some general principles that I will highlight today. But if we take 10 interviews, they can have anything. Literally anything, including tarot reading. For example, FANG interviews are very systematic. A software developer needs to train for months and months in order to even attempt such an interview. And on the other hand, interviews for interns who are normally called junior developers, but I disagree with such a name. They are interns because they have no experience. And if you want to interview a person without any experience, you need to use some tricky tactics. Some of these tricky tactics, including asking for algorithms. Some interviewers do not ask for algorithms. It's random. But what is not random? Most of the interviewers, they want to know exactly two things. First, they want to know, are the candidates willing to work at this job? And for the second thing, they want to know, can the candidates actually do technically, physically perform this job, write the code. These two things are somehow related, connected to infamous soft skills and hard skills. I will provide my own definitions. They are a little bit different from our Wikipedia, ChatGPT, or textbook equivalent. I define soft or humanitarian skills mostly as things that we remember and practice. Thing that we remember, they are facts like history facts and things that we practice, for example, how we learned to communicate with other people, speak foreign languages, or brew coffee. Soft humanitarian skills, they are acquired mostly by memorizing something and by practicing something. And they can be learned naturally by observing other people. We can learn languages by observing how other people speak them. All children do this. On the other hand, hard skills, they are technical skills. They related to way of thinking, how well a person can mentally assemble and disassemble things. Hard skills are about cognitive machinery, math and software development. Such skills, they are normally acquired by solving different problems. And the key characteristic for hard skills is that they cannot be learned by observing other people. We can learn natural languages by observing other people, but we cannot learn programming languages by observing other people. We need a textbook. And this talk is obviously about these hard skills. Software development, our beloved industry, is special by a few things. For example, we have this zero copy cost curse that reduce the value of our accumulated knowledge. To copy one line of code costs nothing. We can copy one line of code, we can copy a million lines of code, we can give a piece of software to literally everyone in all over the world, and that costs us nothing. By this reason, most of the software developers always write new code, because if they or someone else already wrote some code, it costs nothing to copy it. We are cursed to always write new things, and we cannot learn like barista, endlessly brewing the same cup of coffee hundreds of thousands of times, making it a little bit better with each cup. No. Sorry, we always write new things. And our industry, it's very young. Technology changes a lot every year. So the skill to search for something, for answers, is much more important than the ability to know this actual answer from memory. And most of our skills, what make our industry special, they are slow. I will evaluate a little bit about these fast and slow skills. I need that to explain technical interviews and why they are broken. Yeah, why they are broken. So fast skills can be fully used within a short period of time. A good example of such skill is speaking a foreign language or drawing. I can demonstrate my medium level of English by speaking it for 30 seconds. Fast skills are easy to demonstrate, and they are easy to evaluate. You can listen for me and like B2, maybe C1 minus, but he's definitely not a native speaker. Slow skills, they take weeks, months, and years to apply. Such skills are building houses, constructing something big like buildings, and offering software. And slow skills, they cannot be evaluated directly, because you cannot ask a house builder to build you a small house within the interview really fast so they can demonstrate you the skills. No, that's madness. The house, we need months in order to build it. Such skills cannot be demonstrated in 10 minutes. So how can we evaluate slow skills? Normally, they are evaluated by past merits, what people did in the past. That's good for traditional building architect. We can look at the buildings, skyscrapers they had built, but it's bad for software architects. As I previously mentioned, our zero copy cost curves, because we will not need the code that we already wrote. We will write new code at our job. And there is no good way to actually check the code that candidate wrote. We can ask them, but we cannot go to Google or Microsoft and ask them, please show me the code that this person wrote a few years ago, because I want to hire them and I need to see how good they code are. What Microsoft will reply to us? Go to our lawyer. He will explain how wrong you are. And there are different small factors like team, processes, software development, stack that tremendously affect software development. From my first-hand experience a few years ago, we have had a very typical case for our industry that I want to share with you. We actually had one developer who worked for our client, and our client was, they disliked the performance of this developer. So we switched developers. We offered a new developer to our client, and they were happy. And the original developer, we offered them to join another client, because we have lots of developers and we have lots of clients, and we have this ability to switch them. So this developer that underperformed for one client, he joined another client with nearly the same technology stack. I think that was Ruby, and all Ruby is about Rails, so they write nearly the same code, and they performed really well. The client was happy. What was the difference? No one knows. Something about team, something about process organization, start time of daily meetings. No one knows. In order to learn how good any particular software developer will write code for a particular team, for their particular team, we need to actually onboard this software developer to this particular team and wait for a few weeks. How good will they write code? So past merits, they are not good to evaluate skills for software developers, and they are not good for checking these searching skills, the ability to solve new problems. Instead, interviewers, they check some weak correlations. For example, math problems or brain teasers, because they have this idea that if some software developer can solve math problems, maybe this software developer is more likely to be a good software developer, but no one knows for sure. But as I previously mentioned, hard skills, they about cognitive machinery. And it's easier to evaluate the presence of such machinery than our corresponding slow skills. How to evaluate that some person has the required mental equipment? We cannot open their brain. I'm a neuroscientist. I can open their head and look inside. But I'm not allowed to use such skills on the interview. And most technical interviews, what we do on them, that looks like an examination. But that is not an examination. Factual questions that interviewers asks, like, for example, how threads work in Python, or what happens if multiple threads increment and decrement the same value in memory. They are not for checking actual knowledge. They are to check the presence of the corresponding mental machinery. Because if some software developer writes code for years, they will be able to say something. Maybe not the correct textbook answer like it's written in documentation, but they will hallucinate something close enough, and that's easy to check. Same weak correlations are provided by lead code. Of course, it is just a correlation. We do not solve the same problems as lead code offers during our jobs, but if software developer writes code for a longer period of time and is successful, they will be able to somehow tackle lead code, maybe not solve the task completely, but at least they will try and they will write some code and they will talk about it. It's just a correlation that can be used to check that someone has some specific machinery within their mind. Brain teasers can be used for such ends, and interviewers. They are looking for correlation with specific slow skills that they cannot check. Such slow skills includes engineering, because they want to check that the candidate will not under-engineer something, and they will also not over-engineer solution out of the blue. Interviewers, they want to check that candidates will manage code complexity, they will split code, they will arrange code, they will not religiously propagate like only microservices or only monolith architecture. And of course, interviewers really want to check if the candidate can write readable and maintainable code. This is a slow skill. It cannot be evaluated directly, but interviewers can search for correlations. How do they examine such correlations? They use a number of tricks. The first trick that I want to mention is so-called amygdala hijacking. Amygdala within our brain, I will skip a neurophysiology lecture, it's not funny. Amygdala is not about fear, it's about general emotions, but it has some unusual behavior. If amygdala is activated, if we are emotionally engaged, if we feel something, then our prefrontal cortex, our ability to think clearly and to make things up, it's dampened a little bit. So what interviewers do? They ask emotional questions like, what do you dislike the most about the Python programming languages? And language, yeah, singular. And such questions, such emotionally loaded questions, they intend to prevent candidates from making things up, from tricking interviewers. And what can we do as candidates, if we know this, next time interviewer asks such a question, we need to somehow separate ourselves from these emotional aspects and answer what they really want for us to highlight strong and weak points of something. They also use the situational brain operation trick. This is another property of our brain to operate situationally, and as I previously told you about this unlucky or lucky developer whose performance changed drastically by changing the team, our brain operates differently on the interview and during our day job. Interviewers, they know about this, and they know that as candidates, we will talk differently and think differently and do differently on our interviews, because interviews, they are unnatural for us, like a very rare activity that we are not very well versed in. So what interviewers do in order to help with this situational work, they tell stories. They start with something like, please imagine that this is Monday, your typical work day. You start with a tasty coffee and you open your Jira and you see this ticket related to the dreaded front-end question about the latest React library, which again messed your right menu, so how you will, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. What they are trying to do by providing all these unneeded details, they are trying to push your brain into this work situation, so you will think closely resembling how you will think on your actual job. And of course, if we hear such a question, we need to also move apart all these irrelevant junk and stories, pick up the question, and try to answer what they are asking for, not being swayed with all of these details. I have seen software developers who struggle with such questions because interviewers, they put so many irrelevant details into their questions. So for candidates, it's really hard to find out what they are asking for. But if we know the trick, we can start filtering just on the beginning. So if you hear this social story from the interviewer, they want to use this trick, so I need to ignore all the irrelevant details and just remember the questions. Also, interviewers, they value stories and mentions and details from the past. Because if a candidate tells things from their previous experience, this is the strong correlation that they actually did some work, that they actually have mental machinery to handle this work. And while preparing to the interview, it is a good idea to learn to always provide some short stories from the past. You even can have a number of pages with short stories pre-recorded and just memorize them and put them within your answers. This is highly valued by interviewers. Yes? Forced confirmation. And lastly, interviewers also really like chain of thoughts. Like we now ask ChatGPT or other large language model to explain themselves. Interviewers, they really like when candidates explain their thought process, because that gives some glimpse into this mental machinery, which is the thing they want to evaluate, since they cannot evaluate our real programming slow skills. So it's a good idea to train to the interview and to specifically train explaining our chain of thoughts, vocally saying what we are thinking, what things we are evaluating for the particular solution, particular answer, or particular detail about our programming language or technology stack that we are explaining right now. And surprisingly, it's not enough to be a good software developer in order to ace the modern technical interview. Because interviewers, they cannot evaluate our slow skills writing code. So instead, they evaluate simple correlations like lead code. And if the software developer never did a lead code before, they will fail. Our brains do only what they were trained to do. This is counterintuitive, and for today's talk, my co-speaker is this Duolingo. I brought it to this talk because we need practice in order to handle the modern software development technical screening. We need a lot of practice. What kind of practice do we need? First of all, we need to double and triple check the syntax of our favorite language. And the very important trick is that we need to check this syntax from a proper textbook. Okay, I'm a little biased here. I am completing my own Python textbook right now, but I honestly think that textbook authors, they spend literally years to organize and systematize all the information about the programming language. And since there are no good universities that teach software developers, most of us are self-learners, and we cherry-picked our knowledge from hundreds of different sources, and most of the time our knowledge, it's not very systematic. Good book helps a lot, and we can rely on Amazon with rating, or we can ask ChatGPT, like, what do you think will be a good book about, I don't know, Java, programming language for me with this and that background, and I want to attend this job, so which book I want to read. ChatGPT is not very great at thinking, but it's amazing at generalization. What else to practice? Basic data structures like list, digs, trees, and operations. This is a weak correlation. Normally, at our day job, we do not do any algorithms on data structure. We do not sort data. We do not handle trees. But since interviewers are not able to evaluate our slow skills, they will ask. And we need to practice answering such questions. Also, they nearly always ask about this big O notation, and the Wikipedia article about it is pretty long, and it surprisingly contains a few edge cases that are often that are being asked a lot, so it's a good idea to learn it. They ask how exactly processes and threads work on technical screening with help of technical experts. Of course, we always invite technical experts on our interview, but this is one of the areas that is normally unrepresented within the knowledge base of our candidates, and it's always a good idea to double and triple check how processes and threads work in modern operating system and how they are handled in our favorite programming languages in Go or JavaScript, Python or Ruby. Unicode with infamous UTF-8 encoding. 15 years ago, Joel Spolsky wrote this amazing article, what every software should know about Unicode and text encodings, and it's still relevant. One of the favorite technical questions on our own interviews is how to read hieroglyph from a file and write hieroglyph to file, and like 10% of senior developers can answer that question fast. Because we need to practice, as tricky, manipulative all reminds us, we need to practice. We need to check how dates and times are handled within our favorite technology stack, and something specific about our area of expertise, like HTML and CSS for front-end development, databases, SQL for back-end, advanced databases, pipelines for data engineering, and so on and so on. Our intuition is wrong about technical interviews. Being a good software developer is not enough to complete a modern technical interview. Our brains, they fail to perform what we never did before. And our long-term memory, it is being formed by hundreds and hundreds of repetitions within months. Luckily, we now have ChatGPT and this new Chinese large language model that is making foods. Right now, I am having my talk at this stage. So in our 2025, we can ask ChatGPT or any other language model that you prefer to be your sparring partner. Of course, you will need to provide it instructions that I provided you about what questions to ask, how to evaluate your answers, and a reminder that you can use ChatGPT not only in a text mode, but also in a voice mode. You can ask it to pretend to be an interviewer, aggressive interviewer, stupid interviewer, or smart interviewer, to ask you questions for a number of minutes, to evaluate your answers, and to help you become a better interview specialist. Because interviews, they have nothing to do with our actual skills, and that's one of the big problems with our industry, but I don't know a better way, so we just need to cope with what we are asked for and discuss things on meetups like that. Thank you. And now we have some amount of time to actually discuss things. Please ask me anything, and I will try to answer at the best of my ability.
Thank you very much for this presentation. But I have a question. Regarding technical interview, we not only talking about the code interview. Of course, yeah, there's another type of technical interviews, like a system design interview, that using all the big tech companies, including FANG, Mongo, all others. What you can say about this?
My unfavorite type of the interview, our clients, they often do such interviews for our software developers, and it's a mess, actually. It's always a mess, because designing a really big system requires some very specific skills from software developer, but they ask such questions to literally all software developer. Like, you are middle minus, okay, if you design Google scale company, how do you scale RabbitMQ, and will you choose RabbitMQ or Kafka for this particular workload? Why should they know it? Why should they care about it? They should care about profiling their code and about software complexity. It's the skill to train, actually. Luckily for us, there are not so many system design interview questions, because there are not so many different types of database, different types of queues, and different types of balance loaders. So if we expect such questions, not all clients ask such questions, not all interviewers ask such questions, we can, with the help of the almighty ChatGPT, prepare for such interviews, but I think my personal opinion is that these system design interviews, they are not the low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruits are syntax, algorithms, encodings, threads, data types, and so on, and so on. This is the basis and lead code, of course, that worth focusing on. And if you have some spare time remaining, you can also practice system design interviews. We can talk more about it after talk on the after party. Please, let's ask more questions. Why I am on this stage and cannot run away and have all these speaker buffs activated, please.
Thanks for the talk. All right, thanks for the talk. So nowadays they also do like a technical assessment even before you get your interview so it's like a take-home test that you do that's maybe an hour, and they're not always scoped correctly. They don't always work perfectly. So what advice would you give to somebody who did write the right code, but maybe there's something wrong with the tests? Like take snapshot or take screenshots as you move along through it, or even just reaching out to the hiring manager and telling them like, hey, I had it working. You can review the code because it failed, but if you just look at the code, you can tell that it should have worked.
Within the last few years, these assignments, take-home assignments, they are less and less relevant. And we all know the answer. Yes, 2 words. The first word is chat, and the second word is general, pre-trained transformer. So with ChatGPT, they are mostly useless now, and I think that within a few years, such assignments will completely disappear. Of course, I can be wrong. People from the future, am I wrong or not? I don't know.
Take notes from academia with the online proctoring and see if you're actually doing the test yourself or using ChatGPT or your cousin or something to help you.
It's not the question. You see, you can put the second laptop and you can just enter text to ask ChatGPT questions and use the output on the first laptop. So ChatGPT will act as an extension of your own memory and your own mental machinery. There is no way to actually check that you used it or not, and it is not worth it actually, because we don't know if these systems will be used heavily in our work and how they will be used in our work. 25 years ago, I do remember how Visual Assist X was introduced for our integrated development environments that added this amazing ability to complete our code after we enter some object-oriented attribute access modifier like dot. So for me, it was a revelation. I entered dot on my keyboard, and some automatic system offered me to choose between attributes of some objects, so I do not need anymore to remember them. That was amazing. Right now, we are learning how to use large language models and artificial intelligence to somehow augment our workflow. I have absolutely no idea how this will settle, how exactly we will augment our workflows, but I'm pretty sure that home assignments will be killed as collateral damage.
We should wrap up.
Okay, you can take 10.
No, just two. I'm sorry.
evening.
The rest of them are during the networking. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for your talk. And my question more from the side of a person who actually leads the interview and asks questions. At the moment, we try actually hire a junior developer or a trainee to our team. And what I noticed, actually, people without any experience and usually also without any special education solve any level of algorithms way better than I can. And they can describe me how threads work way better than my teacher in university could, just because they use ChatGPT for it. But at the same time, they don't know what the function map does in their own code. So how to behave with that?
No one knows. As an outstaff company, we specialize in the remote work. We are doing that for more than 15 years, actually a decade before COVID. And it was always hard to measure how well a person will work remotely. And now, when we interview junior developers or interns, how I like to call them, because they are not yet developers. They did not develop any code yet. They will, maybe. So our interview process and our questions, they should be large language models proof. So we somehow should alter our screening procedures. You see, it's easy with experienced software developers, because with experienced software developers, what we do at a singular team, literally, we do some very highly skilled software developer. We sit them in front of the candidate and let them discuss code for 20 to 30 minutes. They just open some project, and senior software developer starts interview by asking technical question like, in this particular code, what do you think about the error control? What do you think about concurrency, identifier names? How would you rename these I, J, and K names, and so on and so on. And by discussing, this is called by Kahneman, this is called the expert evaluation. By discussing the senior software developer, they just compare the skill level to themselves and do some grading. Such evaluation is ChatGPT proof because it's a real-time discussion and you cannot feed help from ChatGPT at that speed, and if you can, you are a senior software developer already without the help of ChatGPT. How to do the same trick with junior software developers, I don't know, and I have started my talk with this statement that interviews for interns and interviews for FANG are different. They need some special attention, special handling, but I think that for most of us, we are more interested in our ordinary software developer interviews for middle and senior position, which I talked about.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know what to do with juniors, really. No one knows.
This is the last question. I mean, during the meetup, yep.
My question is, there was a time where looking at someone's open source contribution was a good way to assess if the switch on the mic.
Why do you flick it off in the first place?
Is it better? So there was a time when looking at someone's open source contribution was a good, not even proxy, but a direct way to see if this person can write code. Is it still a thing? Is it, are the companies using this to evaluate candidates?
Some companies definitely use it, but using such correlation, you strip yourself from 95% of your potential candidates because surprisingly, not anyone does open source. As a person who organizes lots of Python and Ruby conferences, I am surrounded by open source contributors and by core developers. And sometimes I have this illusion that every good developer around me, they do some open source. But when I come to our clients to help them, and speak with senior developers who do not attend conferences, who just work for 10, 20, 30 years, and I ask very senior, very experienced, very good software developers who help me a lot helping their clients. How do they participate in open source projects? They reply that no, they do not participate in open source projects because they have different hobby. They're playing Path of Exile, they are hiking, they are teaching their children to dance. There are lots of different hobbies. And of course, as software developers, we are biased by the open source hobby. But if some candidate has a good open source project, it's a great medium to talk about. So you do not need to search for some code to talk about. You can just talk with them about their open source work. But as a general rule that you can scale, it's hard, no. It's unscalable. That will be a severe, heavy investment because realistically, you cannot create anything worthy in a few months. This will take literally years. And such time, I think, for a desperate person can be a little better invested into conversation with ChatGPT for an hour every day to train, to practice doing lead code interviews, training with Dread system design interviews, and reading a really good textbook about your favorite programming language.
I need the last slide, please. So thanks again, all the participants, for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed our meetup, but also this is not the last one. We will have this series of them. So the next one will be on Docker challenges and solutions, like this I think everyone who is involved in tech are well aware of Docker, so please join us. Please scan this QR code. Also, you can join our group on meetup.com in order to be updated in regards to all the upcoming events, including our conference that we will have here in Berlin in May. And what else? So this is all for today. Thanks a lot to our speakers and to our partners, Women in Agile. And yes, so at the end, there is like a networking part. You can grab some soft drinks that we still have over there. Also, for ones who is maintaining like healthy lifestyle, there is also some fresh juices outside. Not outside, I mean in the lobby, right? And for those who prefer beer, there is a bar, like in front of the, yes, Grigori prefers beer. So yes, please, and if you have any questions to our beautiful, amazing speakers or to me in regards to the TIC community, please just approach to me. And thanks again.